Welcome to the Ravings and Reviews podcast. My name is Lauren Werscher.
And my name's Jack Clue.
Jack, I have a question for you.
Oh boy, what is it?
I'm going to read you a set of numbers, and I want you to tell me if they mean anything to you.
Oh no.
0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34.
That's the number that shows up on my scale in the bathroom when I stand on it. How'd you know, Lauren?
Okay. Incorrect, but that is the Fibonacci sequence.
Yep, that they use to unlock... They use in the computer to get into the... Yes, the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence.
I got you.
It's important because it's the next number is found by adding up the two numbers before it. So 0 plus 1 is 1.
Oh.
1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. Yada, yada, yada.
Got you. Okay.
And it is important for this movie that we're reviewing this week, which is the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
So I was the one who picked the movie for this week after the atrocity that was Tusk. And it was my first time watching it. I had been meaning to watch it for a while after reading the book, as I mentioned in that episode where I recommended this. I read the book while on a week-long fly-in fishing trip to Canada.
Oh, wow.
And I had no internet, no phones, no technology, no nothing. So I decided I'll take a book that I've been meaning to read and just basically chunked out the whole thing over the course of a week.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the book. Enjoyed the book, and then I watched the movie, and I kind of want to know your thoughts about it first before I kind of say anything about it.
Yeah, this is weird. I looked at, after I'd seen the movie, I looked at some of the reviews and stuff online, and people really don't like this film. It's got a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes.
26% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
wow.
And all of the reviews I was looking at on Letterboxd were 1, 2, 3 star, 4 star reviews, and I actually I kind of like this movie.
I do too.
I did not have that negative of a reaction to it. I was pretty entertained throughout the whole thing.
I think if I remember what I saw on IMDb, it was it had a 6.6 on IMDb.
Okay, that's better.
I don't really know how IMDb compares to other film review websites or franchises.
They all have
all
different algorithms.
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah.
So it's really, it's all based on perspective anyway. But I really like this movie too. I do have to say I do like the book better than the movie, which
I was going to ask you that.
That's kind of a thing that happens with most book to movie scenarios. It's the book is usually better than the movie in a lot of cases because the book can contain a lot more.
I think you're probably right.
You can fit so much more printed on pages than you can in a strict 2 hour long film.
Right.
But yeah, I really like this movie, and I'm glad you do too, because it's a bit different than a lot of the other films that we've reviewed on this podcast in terms of complexity and storyline wise.
Yeah, this one was definitely. I don't think we've really done a drama. Okay, I suppose you could call Taxi Driver a drama.
I would say maybe Taxi Driver would be the only comparable equivalent to this movie that we've done on the podcast so far, based on tone wise.
Right, yeah. And this one's got a lot more kind of thriller elements.
But yeah, it has a lot more thriller elements.
Maybe not thriller, but it's got more exciting quote unquote scenes more than contemplative scenes as in Taxi Driver. But you're totally right. This is quite a bit different from what we've usually been reviewing on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like I said before, I actually was able to enjoy this film quite a bit.
Good, because I was very worried that you were going to be like some of the reviews I read that were this movie is confusing, I don't like it.
No, I wasn't confused for even 1 second, actually. I thought it was pretty straightforward the whole time.
It's been a while since I read the book, so I some of the plot points were a little bit lost on me, because it had been a while.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it's just some background on the movie. This movie came out in 2006, and it was directed by Ron Howard, produced by Dan Brown, and written by Akiva Goldsman. And it, like the last movie, or like the last couple movies that we've reviewed, this movie has a pretty star-studded cast.
Yeah.
We've got Tom Hanks. We've got Sir Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
We've got Paul Bettany, which... How many times has Paul Bettany appeared in the last couple episodes of the podcast that we've done?
That's what I was wondering. Because
we've got C-3PO in the 2 Star Wars episodes.
Was he C-3PO?
Wait, is it? Oh, shoot. I need to Google this. Hold on.
No, so he might be. I don't think... I didn't see anything on Letterboxd about it. I know he was Vision and Jarvis in the Marvel movies.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Vision. I was thinking like that, but...
Yep, he was.
Well, obviously, Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
Was he? I don't know.
I don't think
so.
C-3PO.
But anyway, like this week, like we've reviewed. This is the second movie in a row that we've reviewed with Paul Bettany in it.
Something weird. I watched this movie and I saw him, and I thought he was the actor from Blade Runner that played Roy the whole time. I was like,
I could see the similarities.
I was like, this guy's back in another like villain role. Hell, I love this guy, dude. He's so cool. And then I look at the thing and I'm like, wait, it's not the same guy.
It's not the same guy.
I went the whole movie thinking it was the exact same person.
Yeah, I definitely can see the similarities between Roy and Silas, the character that Paul Bettany plays.
Yeah, I kind of want to look up like a side-by-side after this podcast gets over, because like, damn, I was really confused when I looked up the actor afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like you said, this movie's got a great cast to it.
It's very complex with its plot. I mean, maybe not necessarily like Christopher Nolan kind of complex where like nothing is laid out beforehand. Like you see what's going, like you basically see a lot of the puzzles and things that are happening in this movie. This movie is basically a giant treasure hunt with like a police chase behind it.
Yeah, I heard some comparisons to National Treasure.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But like, I always got the impression that those movies were like really awful, and like this, I mean, I guess they might be the same in terms of like kind of style of story they're telling.
Yeah.
But, you're definitely. It's basically just a treasure hunt.
It's a like huge treasure hunt of the protagonist. What's his name? Robert Langdon. That's Tom Hanks's character. And this woman Sophie, and they're basically on this treasure hunt to find a murderer, which then turns into a hunt to find the Holy Grail.
Yes. Yep.
Because there are a lot of religious undertones in this movie. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that really stuck out to me about both the book and the movie that I really liked overall is the symbolism. Like all of the talk about symbolism and symbology in religion, in pop culture and everything. And the way that they explain how symbols work to... tell stories and like how they're different based on the context and everything. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah. I didn't get as much out of like symbolism as much as I did just out of the premise, like the conspiracy theory of like the church. Because I was raised a Catholic, and I still am a Catholic, and I was born into the Catholic Church, and that doesn't mean I'm a diehard. I'm not like anyone in this movie. That's a whole different conversation. But it was really fascinating to watch this movie and go, holy, wow, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't think of that before. I'm a little bit of a like sucker for conspiracy theories.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so, yeah, this premise intrigued me. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is so cool. I didn't even like think about this before. So the premise like really intrigued me just because I've been brought up into that and I know everything about that religion.
Yeah.
So I was like able to get like a firsthand like, oh yeah, oh that's cool. Oh, that's weird. Like, yeah, I guess it connected with me because of that. And that's what I got most out of it. I was just interested to see how this like conspiracy within the Catholic Church unfolded.
Yeah.
And what would come of it.
I do have to say, I would be doing so much better. Not that I'm not doing well in school. Like, I would be, but I would do so much better in school if my classes were taught by Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Like, if I was one of the kids in that room at his lecture where he was talking about, like, the symbols of, or what did he show? He showed, like, a peace sign. He showed a swastika. And, like, how in different contexts they mean, like, different cultures, they mean different things.
Right, yeah,
like,
yeah.
A class like that would be absolutely fascinating to me. Maybe I'm just a nerd.
Maybe
I'm just a geek who likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'd be totally down to take a class on symbolism and stuff. And I'd also totally be down to take a class with Tom Hanks. But then again, who wouldn't? So.
Then again, who wouldn't? Yeah. Were there any other aspects, like on a technical level, that you liked?
This movie didn't do anything for me on a technical level.
Not really
that
either.
was what I thought was the weakest aspect of it, to be fair. The camera work really didn't do anything for me. I thought it was kind of poor at a few certain points. Overall, it's competent, but...
Yeah. It's not something that stands out super good in your brain.
Some of the color grading was really weird.
Okay.
Particularly with the flashbacks. I really didn't like how they did the flashbacks.
The flashbacks were, like, super exposed.
They were really overexposed. Yeah. They were really grainy. And they were, like, they had this blue, like, tint to all of it.
It almost felt like footage from, like, The Ring.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of, yeah.
Like, you were watching the 7 days.
Yeah, actually. That's funny. No, yeah. Yeah, I really didn't like how those were filmed. And then just when they catch back up to the present, you know, there's a lot of, like, shaky cam and some quick cutting and stuff, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, like, the tracking shots of, like, the action and everything. Yeah. They didn't use... I mean, the only time where I think they really use, like, close-ups is, like, that first elevator scene with Tom Hanks where they, like, they get, like, super close to his face. Mm-hmm. But that's the only time I really see ECUs in this movie.
Yeah, I guess I'd just say I don't think they did anything like creative with the cinematography, and it didn't feel like they really switched it up. It was just a lot of medium shots.
Not that it took anything away from the movie, it just didn't stand out as much, you know?
Yeah, for me it detracted a little bit because I was like, okay, I could use something a little bit more visually interesting. What I'm like hearing is really interesting, and what the premise is interesting, but I mean, movies are primarily a visual art, so while the story I found to be compelling, I also need to have some visuals that are stimulating as well.
Makes
and
sense.
Not that the movie was like super ugly or super poorly shot.
It just had a couple things that you're like, eh.
Yeah, I felt like it could have done more in the visual category to like really elevate it above something that's just pretty good. Yeah, it felt like the story aspect is like what, and the conspiracy theory is like on this pedestal, and then everything else kind of falls around the wayside as much as not being as important. But no, yeah. What do you think of the music in this one?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I always like the music, but also I was actually just about to talk about it because if you haven't listened to any of the other episodes that we've done, music is very hit and miss with both of us. Like, sometimes we're on the same page, like, wow, this movie has great music, or wow, this movie has bad music. But for the last couple movies that we've reviewed, we've kind of butted heads with how good the music is in some of the movies. But I liked this one. Mm-hmm. Did you?
I definitely didn't dislike it. I was pretty just neutral on it. And my only, like... I thought it was well composed and it sounded nice.
Well, it's Hans Zimmer.
Was it Hans Zimmer?
Yep, Hans Zimmer did the music for this movie, which Hans Zimmer is basically a legend in film scores. He did Inception, Interstellar, The Dark Knight Rises, Gladiator, Dunkirk. Like, all these super good movies were scored by Hans Zimmer.
No, yeah, and I would definitely not say, like, this is up to the standard of the other ones, but it's definitely not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
It's a good score.
Yeah.
The only, like, thing I'd say about it is, like, at certain points it felt a little overbearing, but...
Maybe.
But the more I think about it, not really. It's just kind of, like, the music is supposed to swell at certain moments of the movie, and that's what that's what's supposed to happen in a movie, like, by the books type beat. So, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it overbearing too much, but... No, yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too. It's very, very good.
It was no Swiss Army Man.
No. Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have any other technical notes unless you do or anything like that.
I'm just looking through my notes here. Was the book more or less confusing? Well, quote unquote, because I didn't find this movie confusing. Did you find it very confusing to follow along to?
A little bit, like especially having the context of the book in my brain, it made more sense like what was happening. Like I could follow the plot points better. But with having not read it in like 2 years, I kind of forgot some of the other little aspects. But as of the book or the movie being more confusing, I would definitely say that the movie is quite a bit more confusing, just because like with a book, it's very easy to, like, if you don't get a point, you can easily go back and just reread the page. With a movie, you can, like, backtrack. Like, you can, like, just reverse, like, 10, 30 seconds. With a movie, it's a lot harder to take all that in firsthand, because like it's basically like hitting you in the face like with all of that.
Yeah, totally.
But with a book, it's a lot easier to just go back and be like, I didn't get that. Oh, rereading the last couple page. Okay, now I get it. Continue.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, yeah, that makes sense. All right. I can't say that. I don't know. Would you recommend reading the book?
I would.
Okay.
I would definitely say I would recommend reading the book. Maybe not just before you watch the movie. I would just say like just read the book. It's a good book.
Okay.
It's a good book. It's very interesting. I mean, it was interesting to me when I had no entertainment or no technology to entertain myself for an entire week as a high schooler.
Just deprive yourself of any other stimulation, and this book will be great.
No, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. It's just it's a very good read. It's very interesting. Like especially if you like symbology and you like sort of conspiracy theories, because there were a lot of conspiracy theories that came from this movie, or there were a lot of like controversies and stuff that came from this movie.
Yeah, I saw a lot of documentaries about the Da Vinci Code, like after the film came out, uncovering the mystery of the Da Vinci Code, or Da Vinci Code real or fake, things like that. There's a lot of them. So.
Because I think there's actually a sequel to the Da Vinci Code.
There's two.
There's like Angels and Demons and
Inferno.
Inferno.
Two really bad titles.
Yeah, I have not read them, although I have expressed interest in wanting to read them after.
So are those ones books as well?
Or maybe they might be books.
I
don't remember.
I know they're movies for sure. I don't know if a book comes with those.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to. We'll come back from break and then we'll try that. But yeah, I think we'll cut to our first break and then we'll come back and do some more talking about the plots.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
And over the break, we did some Googling about some of the things that we said before, and big shout out to my dad for actually texting me about this, because I was going to talk about it afterwards, but he kind of said it for me as well. So basically, within the context of the books, Angels and Demons actually is before the Da Vinci Code chronologically. Oh, okay. So currently there are 5 books in the Robert Langdon series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there is Angels and Demons, which came out in the year 2000. Da Vinci Code, which came out in 2003, in books context-wise. Right. There's The Lost Symbol, which came out in 2009. Inferno, which came out in 2013, and Origin, which came out in 2017.
Okay.
And yes, but you were right. The only 3 of those that have turned into movies are Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, and Inferno, which, and then also people have expressed interest in adapting The Lost Symbol into movies as well.
Okay. That's weird that they decided to start with the Da Vinci Code as the first one if it's the second book in the series.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's considered a prequel. So I mean, it is a prequel to the Da Vinci Code. So even though the movie was made later, in the context of it, like the Robert Langdon cinematic universe, like it's a prequel.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
Thanks, Dad.
All right. Do you want to jump into the plot a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I should maybe ask you, like, do you have any scenes that you think or that come to the top of your head as things that we could talk about or things that interested you?
Like I said, my main point of interest for this whole movie was basically the conspiracy theory that the film like centers around.
Yeah.
So, if we want to talk about that a little bit,
sure.
That's kind of cool. So the basic premise of the movie is that
Here's your spoiler warning.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Spoiler warning for both the book and the movie. So if you haven't read it or haven't watched the movie, I like we said before, I highly suggest that you do both. Maybe not necessarily in context of like needing to read the book to watch or needing to read the book to watch the movie, just because they're both very good pieces of media that deserve consumption.
Yeah. So basically, they learn this about an hour into the movie. Jesus Christ actually was married to Mary Magdalene and had children with her. And so Jesus Christ had offspring. And there are two groups of people. There's the group of people, and I can't remember the group's name.
Opus, or wait.
There's basically
keep talking. I'll look it up.
there's one group that's they want to exterminate. It's actually the church. It's within the church. It's this conspiracy theory that there's this little sect.
Opus Dei.
Opus Dei. There's this sect in the Catholic Church called Opus Dei that, number one, know about this, and number two, want to exterminate all of Jesus's bloodline so that people never find out that he actually had a wife and children, so that there's not a massive crisis of faith around the world. And then there's another group called the Pirates, not the Pirates. Sorry, I'm making Lauren do all this research.
Oh, no, you're fine.
There's a second group, and their job is to protect the bloodline of Jesus from the Opus Edis, this other group. So it's these
Priory of Sion?
The Priories, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the Priories are protecting the bloodline of Jesus. And they're just protecting the secret and making sure that Jesus' bloodline lives on. They're not there to tell the world about it. They're just
trying to protect the ones that are still alive.
Yes.
And make sure that they don't get killed by the Opus Dei.
Yes.
Which is where this part of the movie comes in. Is it starts basically with a murder.
Yeah.
It's the murder of the Grand Master of the Priory of Sion, and basically kicks off this entire chase sequence of the Priory of Sion trying to protect this one person, and then the Opus Dei is attacking.
Yeah, essentially all of the pirates, the Grand Master and there's three other members, they're all killed because the group, Opus Dei, is looking for the bloodline of Jesus. Blah, 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 blah. Tom Hanks and, what was her name? Sophie. Robert and Sophie both get roped into this. Sophie is actually the Grand Master's daughter, or granddaughter, and Tom Hanks is brought in to investigate.
He's brought in to investigate, but also under the guise that he is suspect. Because,
the Opus Dei attempts to frame him for the murder of the Grand Master so that they're not suspected.
Jacques Sanier.
Yes.
Yeah, we should say this movie is set in Paris.
Yes, it is.
So there is
a
lot of this movie that's in French.
Yep.
It does have subtitles, and it's not like you have to know French. It's just a lot of the main characters speak French, or in the context of France.
Yeah, and by no means is this a French film either.
No, it's
definitely
not,
an American not blockbuster, but drama. And so, yeah, that's the basic premise, is they're trying to unravel the mystery of, whoa, okay, now we know that Jesus actually has a bloodline, and so they think they're looking for the cup of Christ, the last chalice?
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, that's the name of it. They think they're looking for the Holy Grail, and then they meet with Ian McKellen's character, and he explains, no, the Holy Grail is actually a symbol.
Yeah, it's a symbol.
It's a symbol, and it does not actually mean a literal cup. It refers to Mary Magdalene as being the Holy Grail. So then their quest is to find Mary Magdalene because they need to, because that's what everybody's looking for in the movie.
Yeah, because that's what everyone's looking for, and it gets very, very convoluted towards the second act of this movie. It's pretty much it's pretty straightforward up through the first act of this movie, like just kind of the first half, and then I think it's like after they meet with like T-Bing's character, which is
there's so many names and places and actors in this movie.
And then like after they meet with Ian McKellen's character, it kind of gets a bit more convoluted and into the more like zooming out the lens of like looking at the bigger picture of this movie.
Yeah. So there's a few twists in the movie.
There are a few twists.
What did you think of them?
I enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. I mean, since I wasn't expecting them when I read the book for the first time. Like, one of the main twists is that Ian McKellen's character actually turns on Robert Langdon after, I think Robert Langdon was like a mentor under Lee T-Bing or
a student
under Sir T-Bing, and then all of a sudden he turns on Robert Langdon because he wants to find the Grail.
Yeah. He
wants to keep the secret for himself. I mean, for no other good reason than to like prove that he's right about his conspiracy.
Well, Ian McKellen's character, his whole thing is that, yes, I want to find out the truth about the Holy Grail, not because I can just know it, but I want to expose the Catholic Church for the lies, and the Church creates all this division, and once I can destroy it by showing everybody the truth, then there won't be any more hatred or, sexism or racism anymore, because the Church will be destroyed, and the Church perpetuates a lot of that, which I can't say I disagree with. So yeah, that's his whole thing is like, I'm going to destroy the Church, and to do that, I need to expose this secret to the world. So he's looking so that he can expose it. The Opus Dei is looking for the secret so that they can kill it. And the pirates,
For the Priory?
The P. The big P. They're basically all dead. But, so yeah.
Yeah,
that's the premise of the movie.
We also need to talk about the thing because they're actually fighting over a physical thing. It is called a Cryptex.
Oh, yeah.
I love this thing so much. This is one of my favorite parts of this book because, like, the way it's described and the way that it functions is genius.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what it is, it's basically this big tube thing. It's a tube that's sealed on both ends, and there's 5 little rolls with letters, basically, and you have to line them all up to get the right word
from the inside
for the tube to unlock, and you'll find out whatever's inside, which is usually a paper or a scroll of some kind. And what's genius about it is that it's written in papyrus, I believe it was what it said, but it's encased around a glass vial of vinegar. And if someone ever tries to forcefully open the thing, the Cryptex has a defense mechanism to break the glass vial, and then like all of the vinegar spills out onto the papyrus, which therefore melts the paper and destroys the secret forever. So it's like you have to solve the puzzle in order to get the secret that's inside.
And in this movie, the secret that's inside is where Mary Magdalene.
It's the map to where it is.
The quote unquote Holy Grail. Yeah, there's quite a few MacGuffins in the movie.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of them. There's like they have to find like an orb thing for a little bit. There's some roses that are always scattered around.
I mean, it starts off with one of those kind of things, like where they basically have to go on a scavenger hunt through the museum because
there's a key too.
Jacques Sanier, the Grand Master of the Priory of Sion, was actually a curator at the Louvre. The Louvre.
The Louvre.
I don't speak French. I'm sorry. The Louvre. So he was killed in the Louvre. So he has to therefore go. Sophie and Robert basically get sent on a scavenger hunt through the museum. And that's kind of the inciting incident of this movie, kind of like what it sets you up for, because like you're watching them solve puzzles super quickly, running from the police, you know.
Yeah. Oh boy, the more I talk about it, the more convoluted this movie becomes.
Yeah, the more you think about it in context, you're like, wow, this movie is a lot.
I feel like stupid trying to explain it. Like the opus, they gotta find the race for the pirates and the scroll map key, but there's also Gandalf who's there, but then he turns and then he's actually a spy, and there's so much going on.
And I mean, there's not a lot of like everyone in this movie has some sort of background of being smart and knows what they're doing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So there's no kind of like there's no real like comedy aspect, because sometimes movies do that where like especially in comedies where they'll like throw someone who knows nothing into a situation where they like need to know things.
Yeah.
Like everyone in this movie knows a lot. Like Robert Langdon is literally a professor of symbology at Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Sophie is a police cryptographer. As we mentioned before, Lee Teabing is like a mentor for symbology. Like everyone in this movie knows their stuff.
Yeah, I'd say like Ian McKellen plays the role of like comic relief. Like he's like the only one that like has a few jokes and until he turns. And they're not like it works. Like, I love Ian McKellen. Man.
I do too. I feel like he does a lot for this movie. Like
he does do a lot. For the
acting does do a lot for this movie as well. Like I don't think I could picture anyone else playing Robert Langdon than Tom Hanks.
Yep, Tom
I feel
Hanks
like he adds to this movie a lot, and then Paul Bettany does a really, really good job at being just the terrifying albino.
Paul Bettany
Silas
did a great job. Yeah, he's truly.
He is
terrifying.
one of my favorite characters in this movie. I have to say,
100%.
He was my favorite in the book, just kind of like because of how he acts and like how he is, and then finally seeing him in the movie, it really just elevated my love for him more. Like I just really, really like his character. I don't know why, because like I know I shouldn't. Like, I feel like I shouldn't like Silas as much as I do. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I love side characters so much.
He's the one, like, he seems to have the most motivation for anything.
Yeah, like, he has the most motivation.
He's very passionate about what he's doing. And I kind of just like I don't want to say it's a character study, but I like scenes with this character where you learn more about him. Because I really like those kind of characters, like the devout religious freak that's, like, willing to do anything to, like, meet their ends. Like he's like whipping himself for Jesus, he's bashing nuns in the head with rocks for Jesus, and then prays over their dead body. Like it's rough stuff.
It's rough stuff, and he's one of the reasons that this movie has so much like blood, and like because the blood and injury in this movie is very, very light. But I mean, most of the worst kind of things are like self-inflicted, because he literally I think it's part of the practice of the Opus Dei is that they have to like self-inflict harm to make sure that they don't, or like they make sure they're not any better than Jesus. I don't know. Like there's a really, really long scene of Silas just basically like whipping himself over the shoulder the same way that like Jesus was for like the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Has like this thing on his thigh, like a belt with like nails in it that he just tightens. Sorry, just talking about it makes me remember the scene, and I had to look away because it was so. Ugh.
Yeah, I like it as like a metaphor, not even a metaphor, but it's like look at like it helps to make the Catholic Church seem more evil, then they might just be. Like he's like a living testament to like, yeah, look at how messed up this system is. That they produced this man essentially.
Yeah.
Like this crazy nut job that like they're like saying that he's doing good things. It's like these negative effects of the church that it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe they should stop it because it's so like messed up what they're doing to people, and he's like living proof of it. So I like to see him. And his like craziness, it's like a walking like contradiction of what the Catholic Church is like teaching.
I like to think that he kind of turned to religion as part of like escaping from his life, which was frankly very miserable. Like he was we kind of joked about it before, but he does have albinism.
Does he have albinism?
I think so, because like he has like the white hair, like the white eyelashes, completely. He's very, very pale, which is why he was compared to Roy from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why he was cast out by his family, basically abused and mistreated by everybody who came into contact with him. Like he's just had a rough life, man. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. No, yeah, he was one of my favorite characters to watch on screen.
Yeah, one of the most entertaining parts of this movie is just watching Silas run around and just kind of be there.
Yeah, one of the reasons I brought up, like, the twists and stuff was because I didn't mind them. Like, I thought they worked just fine, but I saw them coming from 10 miles away.
Yeah.
The minute characters are introduced on screen, I thought to myself, I'm like, I bet you Ian McKellen's going to turn out to be a bad guy.
Yeah,
he's going to betray them at some point, and lo and behold, he betrays them.
The Ian McKellen twist I could see coming. I mean, obviously, I read the book, but yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a second twist at the very end of the movie. Sophie, who's the granddaughter of the Grand Master, and you kind of learn more about her past. The Grand Master was like kind of grooming her to be the next like member of this legion that protects the bloodline of Christ. But then it turns out she was actually the bloodline of Christ. And the minute Ian McKellen explains that there are descendants of Christ, I thought in my brain, who is it going to be?
Yeah.
Who is it going to be in the movie?
Because, like, yeah,
that's the blood. Tom Hanks or Sophie. One of those two is going to be a Jesus child. And sure enough, it ends up being one of them at the end.
And then they mention, well, the reason I kind of thought about it further than that, because, like, he mentions that the symbol of the Holy Grail is a V shape. So, like, they talk about the symbology of man and woman. And men, the symbol for man is, like, kind of a triangle with no bottom.
Yeah.
A very pointed arrowhead kind of symbol. And then the symbol for woman is basically the opposite. Like if you turn the triangle upside down. Yeah. And they consider that like the chalice, like the Holy Grail, like that kind of thing. And that's how and that's why they do say it's like the Holy Grail is probably a woman. So
yeah. What'd you think of Tom Hanks' backstory? Because I found it unbelievably kind of comical.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Weird. I found it really weird.
I was kind of indifferent to it. Just kind of like, I just kind of like Robert Langdon's character, and like he's smart and he's a good guy.
I like his character in the movie, but anytime they try and incorporate like this, he's got trauma from his past, and like basically at the end of the movie, or in the middle of the movie, you find out that when he was a kid, he fell down a well and had to like tread water overnight, which is like like really bad, and I can understand how that might scar somebody. But the movie treats it so like more awkwardly than it really has to. It's like he gets like these panic attacks. He's in like an elevator and he's like and the camera zooms in really close and he's like wobbling around like he's like terrified. It's like that doesn't even make sense. You're on an elevator going up.
Yeah.
Like how does that equate to being? And he's in a car too, like, and he's all like, confined space. I can't be in here. I'm gonna have a panic attack. It doesn't make. And then there's like these like. And they're cutting to pictures of like the well and a kid falling down it, like implying that like he's having like post-traumatic stress. So goofy.
I mean, were they trying to tie it back to Old Yeller or something like that? Or
yeah.
Robert Langdon fell down the well.
Actually. And then they have a little tie-in at the end where it's like, oh, I felt Jesus down there in the well with me, you know. And it's not like this movie's trying to push a message. I don't
think they're trying to push. They're really trying to push religion in this movie.
Not at all. They portray religion as being pretty bad in this movie.
Yeah, they really do. And like it's not like they're trying to like convert or do anything like that. They're really just using it for like the for symbology, because there are a lot of symbols that go into religion and go into that, like, because they mean different things to people.
Honestly, I won't even put it past the Catholic Church to have some weird, deep-seated, deep-rooted conspiracy like this.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get into that, though.
I mean, no, we're not going to get into that, but, like, anything's possible.
Do you have anything else to add before we kind of get into our trivia segment, or? No,
oh, yeah, did you ever feel like the movie talked down to you at certain points?
You mean like I'm too stupid to understand this, or like?
Yeah, like not just you, like it's talking down to the audience that's going to be watching the movie. Because I felt like that at a few certain points. It's like, just in case you didn't get this, guys, we're going to quite literally highlight on screen what's important for you. Like, they do that with some symbols. Not only is he explaining it, not only has it been explained before, but then they highlight it. They go like, view, 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 and they like glow white. And it's like, oh my God, this is like a video game. Like, this is like a video game cutscene.
I can kind of see where you were getting
at
with that.
I didn't mind the exposition as much. This is like just a complete exposition movie, but that's kind of what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Like, it's a mystery movie. So obviously they're going to have to talk and figure out the backstory and the intricacies and the blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So the exposition honestly didn't bother me that much, because that's what I was expecting. I was aware that it was just constant exposition dumps, but that's what I was signed up for.
Yeah.
But I was not signed up for the movie to, like, then dumb it down further and, like, highlight on screen what you're supposed to be paying attention to.
Yeah, it did really feel like a video game in some parts, especially with some of like the visual effects that came up on screen, because like it was 2006. Like computer animation, like there's some of the animations that come out. They're not like terrible.
I was gonna say, like, I don't even think it's that the animation or the effects were bad. I just think they were used like really inappropriately.
They were used in like ways that didn't really seem to fit with the movie. But yeah, I agree with that. This movie also does use a lot of cross-cutting.
Yes,
like it does. Like because basically it doubles between a cop plot and the puzzle plot. So like on top of all of these complex puzzles that Sophie and Robert are trying to solve, they're also running from the French police.
Yeah.
Because Robert is still suspected for murder, and now because of Sophie's involvement, she's now suspected for the murder as well, and we're like being in cahoots with it. Yeah. So it's just it's a lot sometimes, and it's
very convoluted to explain, and I didn't think that in the movie. I mean, it's convoluted.
It's really convoluted, but
not in the way that it could be. It's not as bad as it could be. I'll say it like that.
That's true. Yeah.
That's kind of the point of the movie, is to have all these different threads going. But
All right. Yeah. I think we'll cut to our last break, and we'll get into some trivia.
All right. Sounds good.
See you in a bit. All right, we're back.
Okie dokie.
It is time for some trivia. Are we ready?
Yeah. I am. Yes.
All right. Do you want to go first or me?
Sure. I can go first.
All right.
All right. There is a poster outside the elevator in the Louvre. What is that poster for?
Ooh, boy. I probably something French. I don't know. I don't know.
The poster is for Caravaggio's. Not sure how to pronounce that. The Boy in the Wall, which I'm unfamiliar with. But apparently, this is a reference to my favorite part of the movie, Robert falling into a well as a child. So
the boy in the I can see it. The
boy in the well.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah. Okay.
No, that's kind of. I didn't even notice that, to be fair. So.
All right. Can you name a notable cameo in this movie, other than the main starring actors?
Ron Howard, the director?
No, not the one that I have written down.
Was it another actor or another director?
It was another director.
Okay.
Like, of the staff of this movie. Just kind of, like, in context.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. So Dan Brown, the producer of this movies, which also completely neglected to mention, he wrote these books. He wrote Dan Brown is the author of the Da Vinci Code, the Robert Langdon series, all of that. Completely forgot to mention him, so apologies for that. But he can be seen during Robert Langdon's book signing, which is also very fitting since he was the author of the Da Vinci Code and he's at Robert Langdon's book signing.
I was actually going to ask you earlier on if the author had any input on the movie.
Yeah, he was the producer.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's always good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a gargoyle spied by Sophie inside of the Roslyn Chapel. Who is this gargoyle's face modeled after? This person worked on the set of the movie.
It's an actor?
Just someone that was involved with the production of the film.
Okay. The director.
Yes.
Really?
Yep. Ron Howard modeled one of his faces, and then they...
he did a life cast or something?
Mm-hmm,
oh, wow.
And then they stuck it up in the Louvre, and it was one of the... Or not the Louvre.
They put it in the Louvre.
High art, right next to the Mona Lisa. No, in the Roslyn Chapel. It's one of the ones that Sophie's looking at and gets scared by, so...
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. This one's just kind of a quick little tidbit that I found interesting. What kind of model is Sir Lee Teabing's plane?
Oh, boy. A paper plane.
It's just a paper airplane. They're flying to London in a paper plane. No, it's a Hawker 700.
Okay.
So,
I know literally nothing about
I don't either. I just thought it was fun. So.
Yeah, yeah. And I have another just a little, I don't know if I'd call it a trivia question, but I have another little tidbit of information. Officials from Britain Westminster's Abbey actually refused to allow filming to take place in the Abbey because they claimed that the book was theologically unsound.
Oh, dear.
So they had to film it at a Lincoln Cathedral in Eastern England.
Wow.
But, I just thought that was funny.
That is really funny. What, theologically unsound?
Yeah.
Wow.
They weren't having any part of it.
They were not. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? Because I have one more.
No, yeah, I'm done.
Okay. What other actor was considered for the role of Silas? And I'll give you the hint right now because it'll be kind of hard. We have talked about him on this podcast. I believe he's British. I can't guarantee that 100% because there's a lot of different types of British. So
Hayden Christensen.
No.
Darn it.
Hayden Christensen. Is Hayden Christensen British?
No, I was joking.
It's just, I was like, wait a minute. It was Christopher Eccleston.
That was my next guess.
Well, the general from 28 Days Later.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he, now looking at those two movies in context of, how... I forget the general's name, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
The general and Silas. I mean... You could kind of see it.
No,
a little
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
All right. Do we want to give our final reviews?
Yeah. I'll start. I enjoyed myself watching the movie. It's very long. It's a very
long movie, 2.5 hours.
But I actually didn't think it dragged too badly. I could totally understand if someone was like, yeah, no, this movie just took forever to get through. I was just really intrigued by the premise. I thought it was extremely interesting to think about. The characters are suitable. I think especially Silas is...
Silas?
Silas. I thought Silas was very fun to watch. The acting's pretty good. Although most people I noticed that had to have a French accent did not do the best job at having a French
that's
accent.
True. The French accents were a bit rough.
Yeah, they slipped out of the accent quite a bit.
Not as bad as Johnny Depp in Tusk, but...
Yeah. You know what? Fair enough.
Are we just going to keep referencing Tusk in every single...
Yeah, Tusk is eternal.
No, out of all the movies.
We are the Tusk podcast.
Stop it. We need to finish this. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it enough. I didn't think it was too great. Some of the flashbacks, the flashbacks did not work for me, but the premise was interesting enough to keep it going. I really like Ian McKellen. Characters were all right. Technically, it was nothing marvelous. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
All right. I'm going to kind of second a lot of what you said. The premise can be very convoluted to someone coming in blind without knowing the story ahead of time. But I do find this movie super interesting, and like the themes with symbology and the themes with like the Catholic Church and conspiracy theories, all of that is super fascinating to me. And I really liked the actors. I liked the acting. I liked everything. Maybe not everything, like 100% of the time, but I feel like this movie definitely had way more positives than it did negatives. And like other than a couple cinematography things, there really weren't any drawbacks for me for this movie. Like okay. No real like storyline issues or anything. I felt like everything was done really, really well. Although like I said at the beginning, I would prefer the book to the movie. Sure. But I mean, that's the case with a lot of book to movie adaptations. So I am going to give this a modest 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
All right.
That wraps that up.
That wraps us up here. Jack, you have the movie to recommend for next time.
I do. So this movie's on Netflix. I looked.
Boy.
It's something I've been wanting to watch for quite a while now. My parents watched it without me. And they both loved it. And this movie has probably my favorite actor of all time in it, Willem Dafoe.
Oh.
The movie I'm recommending is The Florida Project.
The Florida Project. Okay.
Yes, it is on Netflix. I don't think it's too long. It should only be about an hour and a half. But I'm very excited to watch it.
Okay. I can't say I've heard of it, but definitely that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it's not super well known, but everything I've heard about it's been really
good. Is it a Netflix original or is it?
No, it's okay. Actually, you know what? It might be an A24 movie.
Oh my gosh. No. Sorry, Levon.
Hold on. Let me. No, yeah. I'll just look really quick here, but
if you want to look it up, I'll kind of close us out here a little bit. So thank you for joining us on the podcast today. I mean, if you are here, we really appreciate you being here.
It's not an A24.
It's not A24. Okay.
We're good.
So I retract my sorry, Levon. Not really, but okay. So thank you for joining us today. Make sure to follow us on social media. Keep up with our YouTube. We are all caught up with episodes except the Iron Man one.
Iron Man should be up pretty shortly.
Iron Man should be up soon. Yep. And then obviously as soon as we get this one all edited and figured out, we'll get this one up too. Spotify's still in the works. We're working on it, but that one should be up as well. So
yeah.
All right. Have a great evening, everybody.
Yeah, take care, guys. See ya.